Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Rulebook RX. I'm Dee, and today we're going to be taking a look at Caper Europe by Keymaster Games. I'm going to be taking a look at the rulebook and seeing how hard it was for me to learn and teach the game, any kind of UI UX tricks that the layout designers may have used to help me learn the game. And did I have to use Rodney Smith to actually learn the game, or was I able to get everything I need to know from the rulebook in Caper Europe? I'm going to go to the next table, we're going to take a look at everything together, and we'll be right back here to let you know what I think. Okay, here we have the rulebook and the player aids and just a little bit of board here that I wanted to kind of touch on something in just a second. We're going to be talking about these in just a sec, but I'm going to concentrate on the rulebook first of all here. So, nice looking cover. First to start out with, beautiful velvety feel. This is... Every rulebook should feel this good. There's nothing that holds you back from wanting to hold this rulebook. So, first of all, that's fantastic. You know, just like this, all of this kind of sets you up in the game. One of the things that I loved about this is the Kickstarter version came with like the tape that had a lot of this branding already on it. So everything just felt thematic throughout. So looking at the actual instructions, we have a components list and just an overview here of what you're going to find in the book. All of that is extremely awesome to see. By the way, it looks like the rules were done by Brigitte Indelicato, and they did a fantastic job of laying this out. It is amazing. So, kind of going back to it here, we got the setup here. Everything with a nice visual representation of where things are going to go, complete with numbers that go to the corresponding spots. You know, they have them repeating throughout whenever they're mentioned. That is, once again, great. There's no mystery here of how to get this game going. Round structure, they do a good job of showing things on the board where they should be, like this being here, and you know, the locations being here, and just breaking those down nicely. One thing, just as a minor quibble, I would have loved to have seen these a little longer and color coded to, you know, maybe this being the crew phase and this being, you know, or like, I suppose this would have to be something different, but then this would be the crew phase, and then the gear phase in that green that it's shown. So that'd be the only thing that I would see that's a minor quibble, but they do have everything really nicely laid out and separated so that you can tell, like, okay, this is this section that we're looking for to answer any questions that we have during the game. They do show that a little bit later here, and I'll reference that that color coordination. I think always that's something great. But there's just such a good job here of laying out each individual thing to such a degree that it just makes sense. And then you have these little art flourishes in there, along with that, like, while you're playing look. Always great. Now, here's something that I really love about this rulebook, is they don't mess around with, like, making you remember, okay, mastermind and thieves. They just say, hey, let's just show the actual item that you're going to be moving around here in the actual description. You'll see that from time to time, like over here, we have got, you know, this icon, that same thing over here, and then while they're referencing burn cards, we see that right here. So there's a lot of that within the actual text, almost like emoji style. I think that's really clever and neat. I know not everyone's a fan of iconography like that, but I think that that's helpful, just for being able to know exactly what we're talking about. Here we got burn cards, and they do a little bit of that color, you know, coordination here with that pink, but the locations is where they really do a great job with that. Once again, this just goes into like scoring. Everything is great there with that visual representation, but here's where I was talking about. They have like the blue for the Paris, orange for Barcelona, pinkish for Rome, and London, rounding that out with those colors, matching the card notes, so that all of these have those colors kind of built into it. So makes looking at this extremely intuitive. So when you're like, all right, I just want to learn about the cities, you come here and you know exactly which city you're looking at based on the color. I think that is unbelievably awesome. Finally, at the back of the page, great idea to have a quick start on there, and then how to quick begin. And then once again, all of your favorite characters from the game. There's my favorite, the Bon Vivant. But yeah, comes with player aids. You know, both of these they're both the same thing that we're looking at, just flipped together. So Yeah, this is great. You know, this was such an easy teach once it got to the table, that there was really not a lot of room for questions and flipping back and forth frantically through a book. You know, here's that board that I was referencing before. Everything is just laid right out. You know, whose turn is it? You know, what is this worth at the end of the game? What goes here? And then, I don't know if you can see, this lighting's kind of bad in here, but you know where that thief icon goes, and those 4 items right there. So that's it. That is the rule book, the board, and everything included in Caper Europe. I'm gonna go back to that first area, and I'm gonna tell you what I thought. Recording, I think Caper Europe's rulebook is a masterclass in teachability. Not only is everything laid out so well with a lot of visual representation of how to actually do something, but one thing I need to add to the rulebook is when a board does such a good job of explaining things on the board itself, like having the starting player start with, you know, the crew first, and then that arrow points to them during the turn marker, and then across the board on the next turn for the gear phase with your opponent, is just so easy and intuitive to be like, okay, whose turn is it? Look at the board, bang, and it's my turn or it's your turn. None of this like, oh, I think I had the starting player last round. And so when a game is a 2-player like this and it has a lot of that just laid out on the board of what needs to be laid out, what turn is it, whose turn is it, that makes this game so amazingly teachable. The art and everything inside the rulebook is fantastic. The feel of the rulebook itself just feels great on your fingertips. All of those things just really make me happy when it comes to bringing this rulebook out and teaching the game, and even referencing it. And you can see people like actually engaging with this rulebook. That doesn't happen all the time. A lot of times you see a rulebook come out and people are like, no, not in my hands. But this one's great. Lots of really intuitive ways to pick it up, put it on the table, and teach it. Did I have to use Rodney Smith at all? Absolutely not. Like I said, the rulebook itself, chef's kiss, and the table presence, or the table board, is just incredibly intuitive. You lay some things out and you're already playing the game. So that's great. I have really nothing bad to say about the Caper rulebook. Perfect size, hits the table great. If I were to give Caper Europe's rulebook any kind of prognosis, it would be a specimen of health. This is what I think a lot of layout designers should be looking towards when they're designing their next rulebook. So that's all I got to say about that. Once again, I'm Didi from the Rulebook RX. If you like this kind of thing, we're going to be looking at the layout design and discussing how this is good for you. Come on by, like and subscribe, and I'd love to have you. So once again, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time on Rulebook RX.